you have in your gut, and one of the most important you have to is Bacillus subtilis, because this bacteria produces short fatty acids, SCFAs, and produces an enzyme called nattokinase, so important for your vascular. Yeah, and there is another connection with a trimethyl oxide, TMAO. It's called TMAO. It's important for what you're eating, what's in your gut, and the connections to your heart, to the cardiovascular health. This is important.
And then I'm going to pull you on to a couple thoughts. So also the gut-brain connection and how neurotransmitters function. And if you can hit on a little bit of conversation from last week on the regeneration of the microbiome, but also the results that you've seen. I know you've probably had a little more feedback from the last week from what you've done initially, but the regeneration of the microbiome and the formulation of 0N and the possible benefits and correlation to that.
The correlation which I saw and I see is that clean up the light, stabilize the barrier of your gut. Yeah, this is one of the most important things for me. And the second is that the the ingredients of the 0N are very healthy for diet or for your gut too. Yeah, stabilizing the microbiome. You have different axes in your body. It's a brain gut axis. You also have, interesting in this area we have this year, is the lung gut axis. You have microbiomes in every area of your body, and only one of these microbiomes in the gut, you also have bacteria around your heart. Yeah, you have a microbiome in your heart and your kidneys, and this is important to know. And there are correlations of being healthy. When you are changing your microbiome, you're getting less healthy. Yeah, this is the problem.
There's also a microbiome in the brain, correct?
I don't think so, no.
Or on the blood-brain barrier?
Blood-brain barrier is, no, I don't think so.
It's funny, I was having a conversation with someone
last week. You have microbiome.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
That's it. So
that's it.
The effects, we'll take a couple minutes and go over this. The effects that you saw in your initial case studies, and have you done a couple more in the last week?
No, last week not, because I have a lot of things to do with the coronavirus, because I'm a virologist, and therefore I have to look at a couple of other things here, and looking for the not for the patients, only for the scientific papers about the coronavirus in the moment in Germany, because this is very strange now it's getting here. And I'm looking in the scientific papers about the microbiome and the respiratory viral infections. And this is more interesting than what you can do in this issue, in this case. Yeah.
It leads to a question. So when you're talking about the microbiome in the lungs and the respiratory system, would it be possible to draw a correlation between detoxifying?
This is one of the main reasons today is the why we have this pandemic is the air pollution. Yeah, this is the problem. This is one of the reasons why we have a pandemic, because of coronavirus.
Yeah,
you can see it in North Italy. There are a lot of people dead because of the air pollution and because of the heavy metals, and because of vaccination they had in the earlier time in this year or last year, vaccination against pneumococcus. And this is the reason why the people are getting really quick sick, because of the coronavirus.
So when looking at we'll say the vaccinosis issue, right? Because it's the term.
One of the most interesting things for me is also that the there are papers about this issue, is that the social distancing is really bad because your microbiome cannot increase in future. Yeah.
Your immune system needs work.
You have to be in contact with other people. You have to kiss other people, kissing or something like that.
So it's just like working out, correct? That your immune system needs work.
Yeah. And that means that in future, the people getting, the health of the people getting weaker. Yeah.
So you could say that humans need to be in a community.
Yes, for sure. You are in community with your wife.
Some people have been social distancing from their wives for a long time.
You and your wife, you have a microbiome. When you have two women, your microbiome is much larger.
Yeah, but your bank account is a lot lower, and your stress levels, so your heart rate variability just bottoms out.
This is right.
So it's always having balance.
The homeostasis is one of the most important things also in the microbiome, because there are some small molecules. They're generated, for example, with L-carnitine called and other things in your gut called DMAO, trimethylamine oxide, and they're one of the most important things for building in your gut, the most important things for your cardiovascular health. TMAO, trimethylamine oxide. Yeah, and they're influencing the homeostasis of the endocrine system or the lipid system. This is the connection between your gut and what Dory said about the cholesterol and your cardiovascular health.
And are a lot of those naturally produced in the proper environment?
Yeah, in a proper environment.
So as a virologist, as a Ph.D. researcher, and the work that you've done, I'm going to give you.
It's a couple of years ago, yeah.
Would you say that for benefits to your gut and microbiome, that it would be more important to remove the toxins and chemicals that are causing the issues, and we can throw glyphosate in there because it's a bad boy.
You have to.
Or the supplementation of probiotics?
You have to do both. One of the most important thing is to detoxification, to detox, yeah, to get this, get rid of these things. You have to bring this heavy metals and all this stuff out of your body. This is one of the most important things to get healthy. Yeah, and then to be in homeostasis.
From a probiotic standpoint, I'm one from a dietary perspective to try to get stuff. So sauerkrauts, the kimchis.
Every food in this direction, fermentation of products like kimchi in South Korea is one of the most important things to do, or to drink a little glass of vinegar in the morning, good vinegar. I do this every morning. Yeah, we have special vinegars, very good vinegars to increase the microbiome. You also have not only a microbiome in your gut, but you have a virome in your gut, and this is also important, that you have a virome. You have viruses in your gut. The most viruses you have in your body are in the gut. And in the whole world, we have, I don't know, 3.5 much more viruses than bacteria. And the virus is also very important that we have in our body. Sometimes not, sometimes yes. Yeah, depends on.
So I'm going to throw another question, a viral question, because I'm doing some research on Epstein-Barr virus and how it affects the liver. and where it's stored. But with some of these viruses, and Dory and I have had conversations in the past about liver toxicity, heavy metals, and viruses and expression, whether it's for skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema. Can you talk a little bit about the virology aspect of how the combination of some of the viruses and the heavy metals and food source and such?
It's only a question of homeostasis. First of all, I think about 85% have a EBV or CMV, the Epstein-Barr virus or cytomegalovirus. Yeah, I think I have one too. Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Exactly, because it's a matter of expression and having balance and homeostasis in your body.
Like you have an herpes here at your mouth, and then you have this is one of the most stressful situations, not only caused by light, but when you have a drink from another glass, you very quickly get your herpes in your mouth. This is a virus. Yeah, means that your immunological system is out of balance in this moment. And this is also because you're thinking of something special, you also can get an herpes in your mouth. Yeah. You have these viruses, and when you get out of balance, you have a problem. And then you can test these viruses with resonance systems, and you can give the patients, the clients, homeopathic agents. For example, it's possible to get back into balance.
So what I hear you saying is that from a viral standpoint, we can say millions of different viruses that we carry that are in us. Some good, some may be bad.
Some good, some bad. If you're missing some viruses in your gut, you're getting quicker bacterial infection, for example. There are some scientific paper about that. If there's one virus not there in your gut, you'll get a quicker bacterial infection. And one of the most reason for me is these nosocomial infections, where you can, a lot of people have problems with infections in hospitals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that. What the medicine is doing in this case, they're giving the clients antibiotica. Yeah, these are not function because of the resistance. And what you can do is, one technique is known about 70, 100 years. It's used in Tiflis in Georgia, where they're using viruses against the bacteria, Staphylococcus aureus. This is a bacteriophage bacteriophage, how to call it in English, I don't know, where you can get rid of these bacteria.
Antibacterial.
Yeah. 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 And this is one of the possibilities you can do when you have these nosocomial MRSA bacteria.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
this is the only chance that you can do. These are bacteriophages. Bacteriophages are viruses of the bacteria. Yeah.
So I had a conversation a few months back, and I've chatted with him for the last 6 years with Dr. Don Huber, who's one of probably the top researcher regarding glyphosate, and has been the biggest proponent of the use of glyphosate since 1974, when he started researching it and seeing how bad it was. And what he's found in his research, and one of the things we were discussing, is that the creation and the prevalence of methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, MRSA, as well as antibiotic resistance in humans, is due to our exposure of glyphosate, because it creates antibiotic resistance in plants and in humans. So it's one of those key components that destroys the microbiome and creates that imbalance in the gut and in the microbiome. So, and the best thing is clinoptilolite is really good at binding and removing glyphosate. So
yes, I know this. You told me a couple of days before. I just thought that only the humanic humanic acid is one of the most important things, and fluoronic acid. I got some lectures in Hungary a couple of years ago about the humanic acid, and we are using in Germany the humanic acid against the glyphosate.
Yeah.
Called Leonardite. It's a special thing in the earth you can use. There are only a couple of places in the world where you can get these humanic acids.
And I can say that Christina is actually working on a couple of trace mineral formulas, because it's one of the additional areas that we want to create some influence in, because of the importance of replacing trace minerals with the use of clean slate and a bunch of water and zero in of being able to fill some of those gaps. Himalayan sea salt, so the sea-based trace minerals, but also some humics and fulvics in combination, kind of fill that space.
Yeah.
Let me see. There was a question that popped up. Can you explain what the microbiome is in the gut and around such? Can you give it a brief explanation for the millions and millions of Root fans?
Short, quickly, or in next calls, perhaps with a presentation. It's there are a lot of scientific papers in the last years. Increasingly, it's incredibly what happens in this area, in the area of the microbiome. And one of the things, the most important things, is that we have, these autoimmune diseases, who are cured very often in the first years, and it depends how the kids are born, vaginal or with the gut
section.
Yeah. And this is one of the most important things, where the microbiome is generated when the kids are born vaginal, because they are getting the bacteria of the mother, the bacteria of the vagina of the mother, and not the bacteria of the skin. Yeah. And there are some autoimmune diseases, some scientific papers about that there are cured autoimmune diseases with fecal transplantations.
Yep.
Fecal transplantations. Yeah, they're getting the fecus from other persons in your body, and there you can see that you have special groups of bacteria in your gut. 3 different groups of bacteria, and when you are getting older, or you're changing your diet or something like that, your microbiome also is changing, and you have a correlation between special bacteria in your microbiome and, for example, different diseases or obesity, for example. One of the most important examples in the last year is one microbiotic is Akkermansia multifida. If you have this bacterium in your gut, you have no problems with your weight. Yeah.
So I'm going to hit on one thing. So if
there are a lot of different bacteria in your gut,
yeah,
and you're living with them. They are about 2 kilos.
So it's more important to have your body in proper balance and homeostasis than worrying about viruses and bacteria.
You're not in balance when your microbiome is out of balance. Yeah.
And to have a properly balanced microbiome, you need to be exposed.
Yeah. You have a microbiome on your skin, You have different bacteria here. You have different bacteria here on your hand and there. And also other bacteria on the left side and on the right side. Here are other bacteria than here. Yeah. This is very interesting. This is an universe
So when we talk about, you talked about couples, right? And if you have a married couple, doing a fecal transplant could be a way of better bonding.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. And I just threw a question out there that was supposed to be funny, and then we had a disconnect.
I see a problem with the micro here. I don't know why.
You're muted. I'll unmute you again. Does that work? Well, you're not here. I'll just keep you muted. I'm going to go over a couple things. So we'll let Dr. Rao get on a couple things. Thanks, Doc. So that gives us the overview. There you go. You're back and you're not back. You're back and you're not back.
You can hear me?
I can hear you now. So I'm going to hit on the pineal gland a little bit, because there was the topic of the day was going to be the gut, the microbiome, the brain, and the pineal gland, and the gut-brain connection. So you crushed the microbiome part, so I didn't have to, because, well, you know it better than I do.
Microbiome part, okay.
You did good.
There is a connection. This is very important. The pineal gland also too, yeah.
So talk about
the most important organ in your body.
Talk about that a little bit more, so I don't have.
No.
Oh, come on.
No. I'm not prepared now.
Okay, fine.
Talking about fluoride calcification of the pineal gland or something like that. This is what we can see in the heart rate variability in this one area where we can think about these things.
So the improvements that you saw in the initial case studies with, if we look at chakras, right, for the improvement in energy output and focus in the third eye and overall output, gives you some of the indicators, because the pineal gland, from a blood flow standpoint, if I'm not mistaken, receives more blood flow than every other organ besides the kidneys. So it's got a massive amount of blood flow.
I don't know exactly.
Some of the research I got to read.
In the chakras, I'm still looking at the base and looking at people are standing on the base and using sometimes with my clients aromatherapy to get them on the bottom. And then I'm looking at the second. There's also what I can see in the gut or in the prostata and the sexes, and these cases are in the last couple of months. There are less percentage in this chakra. The chakra is still changing when you make a test before and after, and you have to balance them.
Yep.
And when you see that one chakra is still less in the percentage, you see that there's something wrong in the body. You can see it very quickly in the second chakra. And in this seventh or so, you can see this so quickly. I have to look on the other screens I have, on the other charts with the brain, where I can see the brain waves. Yeah. And I have to ask the people what are they doing. The pineal gland is very complicated. There are not a lot of scientific papers about that. We are knowing, when we are talking about metals, heavy metals, these stuff like using in toothpaste, fluoride or something like that. You have to get rid of this terrible poison. Yeah.
And what research has shown that fluoride is the primary culprit in calcification of the pineal gland, correct?
This is right, fluoride.
So whether it's in the water supply, I don't know if they're still doing that in Europe. I think they banned a lot of the use of fluoride in the water supply in Europe, but it's still done in some places.
They're using it in salt. I don't know exactly. Iodine and fluoride, I think so.
So it's still going on over there. It's still used here, and then fluoride toothpaste, and I don't know if they still do fluoride mouthwashes in school for kids, but
yes, we have it here too. Yeah,
it isn't terrible. So
and they're educated the kids in the school with these stuff, because I worked as a teacher a couple of years ago, and I saw these when the dentists educated the kids in the school with these fluoride toothpaste. And ask them why are they're doing that. This is I don't know why.
it's what we're told.
Change. One of the most difficult things is to change the system.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the biggest component of how to create change. So there's a question about fluoride being a byproduct from aluminum refining and has an affinity for aluminum. Is that something you're familiar with? It's a little bit foreign.
Byproduct of aluminum refining. I don't know exactly. No.
Neither.
No.
So.
No.
But the key is the decalcification of the pineal gland, and clinoptilolite is actually very good at binding fluoride. And as we've seen, the functions of the pineal gland: sleep, spiritual center of the brain, the light center of the brain. How do you explain it, or what have you seen?
With the pineal gland.
Yeah.
Where in my tests, I can see this in the tests. I have to talk with the people, but so, I can't see it in the test, the pineal gland.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
But the effects or benefits, or the what's the term that I want? The process and of the pineal gland is to do what?
The process of the
what's the use, or what's the purpose of the pineal gland?
Oh, I told you I don't want to talk with the pineal gland. the thing about homeostasis are all these things to get in rhythm and biorhythm, and then to get in balance. Yeah, there are a lot of functions about the pineal gland who are written in the papers. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to let you bounce because I'm going to hit on a couple more things, but thank you for doing 30 minutes of an overview. So I'll let you take a break now. So I'll mute you, and I'm going to turn off your camera so you can take a break.
Okay.
So that's a start that I wasn't expecting. And it's better to have more PhDs and doctors explain stuff that they're much better at. So to finish hitting on, I think we got a good explanation of the microbiome and the importance. And now we can touch on a little bit more of the brain and the pineal gland. And if there's a couple other questions, we can hit on those. But like we were hitting on, the pineal gland, the little gland that sits on this side of your blood-brain barrier, that is considered the light center of your body. And I think it was Rene Descartes, I believe, in this, my history is going to be a little bit skewed. I think it was in the 1700s that he published some comments or claims, some literature on the pineal gland being the spiritual center of the brain. But scientifically, it's also known as the light center, where serotonin converts to melatonin. But about 10 years ago, as I've learned over the last couple months, because of having doctors in the community look at the effects of zero in, that there's another neurotransmitter called valentonin that was discovered, I think, about 10 years ago, that is also responsible for improvement of sleep patterns. And like Dr. Rao was talking about, the importance of having balance and having homeostasis, that toxins, heavy metals, environmental pollutants, stress create imbalance in our lives, in our bodies, in the microbiome. So being able to remove those helps to create balance, and you let your body dictate. And then, as I'm a huge advocate for, as he was mentioning, from a probiotic standpoint, to do what you can naturally, right? Eat fermented foods. So sauerkraut, kimchi, and other fermented foods are really, really good for you, because it's the natural ways to get a lot of the probiotics. And then if you have to supplement with other probiotics, you can, but to try to do as much as you can naturally, which is also, when we look at trace minerals, why we love Himalayan sea salt so much. But getting back to the pineal gland function, fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. And if you can decalcify the pineal gland, which clinoptilolite is very effective at binding fluoride and nitrogen and ammonia and other metals and chemicals. But if you're able to bind that fluoride quickly, you can remove the blockages from the pineal gland. And this is where the combination of clean slate, our favorite little friend, and the golden pills of happiness come in combination, right? Because clean slate is going to help decalcify your pineal gland. It's also going to help clean up the microbiome in your gut. Zero in is also going to help repair your microbiome, do some other really beneficial things for reduction of inflammation possibly and such, because of what the ingredients are shown to do. But the primary mechanism is to feed your gut with the specific ingredients, that perfect recipe of components to allow your gut to produce dopamine and serotonin. And when it does that, this is what's really important that we've learned. And we didn't know this when we started. This little product, Zero In, took 3 years to develop and get right as far as the formula. We tested it for another 2.5 or 3 years to get feedback from people, because we knew it increases dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine helps you feel amazing, mental focus, clarity, the cognitive function. Exercise becomes amazing because it basically breaks down the barrier of physical output and improved cardiovascular function, to where you enjoy working out and you're not inhibited to typically break through barriers that you might have inhibiting your performance. And it makes activities more fun. So we know that playing video games, your brain produces a little bit of dopamine, and so does your gut. But if you can dictate how much you want when you want it, everything can be fun. If there are activities that you don't like doing, it could be going to work. You take a capsule or two before you go to work. It makes work fun, or makes it enjoyable. You can get it done quicker, so you can go home and enjoy yourself. One thing Dory talks about is she's never liked gardening. So she started taking a capsule of Zero In before she'd have to go out in the garden. Now she loves it because it changed her brain, changed the way she looked at things. I know this, Teresa, the strips are in process. but the CBD space is going to be an interesting one. The key, though, is the adaptogen aspects of zero in. We knew we could create dopamine and serotonin really effectively. But what we didn't see, understand, or expect was that because the primary ingredients in zero in are adaptogens, right? So an adaptogen allows your body to dictate how it wants to use those items. Mucuna pruriens, pine bark extract. See, there we go. It was in the early 1600s. Thank you, Birgit. It was Descartes. See, this is why the community makes us all smarter, because I'm not very bright. The adaptogens, the curcuminoids, to go along with the mucuna pruriens and the pine bark extract, they allow the body to use them as they see fit. And what we've learned over the last couple months is this. During the day, the use of zero in can improve focus, mental clarity, cognitive function, alertness, feelings of well-being. But at night, as your circadian rhythm changes, and this is also crucial when it comes to clean slate, of understanding the circadian rhythm of the body, right? The circadian rhythm is your sleep-wake cycle, right? So during the day, we're awake, we're alert. At night, we're supposed to sleep. Our body wants to sleep. A third of our life is supposed to be resting, recovering, regenerating, sleeping. One of the biggest reasons we're supposed to sleep is our dream cycle. We're supposed to dream. It's when we create, it's when we solve problems, it's when we process things. Calcification of the pineal gland inhibits that process. So everything starts to come together, right? You got to clean up the pineal gland, but then the adaptogens at night, instead of more dopamine, shift to the body producing more serotonin. So what happens when your body's producing more serotonin? You're relaxed, you're happy, but the serotonin can convert to melatonin and valatonin in the pineal gland. Let's draw the conclusion again. Decalcify the pineal gland so it can do what it's supposed to do. Feed your gut and the microbiome what it needs to produce those amazing neurotransmitters. They work together. Out you go. Great sleep, amazing dreams, tremendous recovery from the same capsule that during the day gets you focus, mental clarity, and alertness. We didn't see that coming, but that's what we're seeing happening. That's the beauty of adaptogens. Correct. So Birgit was just asking the question, if people say they never dream at any given night that their pineal gland is heavily stuffed up and calcified. Correct. The other part is mercury. If you have really bad dreams, a lot of times that's mercury. And one of the things that we see, if you talk to someone and they're using clean slate, and the first few nights, or maybe it's not the first few nights, but over their first couple months, they have some really wicked, dark dreams. If you're dreaming of serpents and really dark stuff, a lot of times that's mercury being removed and how it affects your brain when moving out or causing disruptions. So it all comes down to process. And like Dr. Rao was hitting on, balance and homeostasis. The entire goal of what we're doing is to create better balance, because a healthy body is just that. It's healthy. if you're healthy, you don't get sick.